All right, here we are. Are we ready to get going again? I see that we have a number of people here. And I want to show you something before we get started. This is a rather unique year, 1949S. And I want to show you why. Get copper coins up here real quick. Now, with copper coins loaded into the window, I want to do a search for... keyboard back out here. I want to do a search for 1948. And I want to show you the first instance of a 1948 with the top of the date if I can. If I can find one. Let's try this. Nope. Let's try something where we might find the top of the date for the 1948. Let's see. Let's try this one. Nope. All I can see is the bottom. Anyhow, what I'm trying to show you is that the top of the date in the 1948 is pointed. There we go. The top of the 4 right here has a kind of a tightly wound top that has a rounded off point. Now, if we look at 1949... here is a 1949. Let's see. Yeah, I'll try to get the one picture of the top of the 4. Try to get a picture of the top of the 4. Let me see one that's got relatively new images. Let's see if this shows the top of the 4. Nope, it does not. Okay. I keep moving here until I find one that shows the top of the 4 of the date. Or what you're going to see with the top of the 4, if we find one. I need to make a page about this subject so it'll be a whole lot more clear. But anyhow, okay, so this is one of the double dies that I'm talking about, 1949S. The normal top of the 4 for the 1949S has a leveled off feature, or it has a flat top. Okay. Well, what they did was they accidentally hubbed the master die, or hub the die for the year. They hub the dies, some of the dies, with the 1948 hub, and it had that rounded top on the top of the 4. And then they came back and put the 1949 date in there, where it would have the flat top. And so what you've ended up with here is a doubled die that has the flat top over the rounded top, the 1949 over 1948. If you want to talk about one being an overdate, this is actually, I would consider it an overdate, because this style of 4 was explicit to 1948, not 1949. So this could not have been a 1949 hub. There are 3 different dies known with this, and they're based on position of the mint mark. The position of the mint mark is different between all of these. But there's a 1DO2 and a 1DO3, all of which show this very distinct flat top over a bulb top on the 1949, on the 4. That is definitely a double die, as are, now listen to me closely, as are all examples of 1942 over 1 dimes, all examples of 1918 over 17 Buffalo nickels, all examples of 1918 over 17 standing Liberty quarters. Okay? Those are all double dies. None of them are actually overdates. And the overdate, the reason that they're not overdates is because an overdate is a date digit punched over another date digit. So like an 18 over 7 over 6, an 1807 over 6 large cent, that would be an overdate, because that was actually an 1806 dated die, and they tried to polish the 6 off the die and punch a 7 on there. Didn't quite work. So you have a 7 over a 6. In this particular case, you have the 1949 over the 1948. And the 8 is invisible. The 8 has been either polished off or was never completely hubbed into the die to begin with. But because this was hubbed in and not punched in, it's not an overdate, it's a double die. as are the 42 over 1S dimes, the 43 over 2 nickels. Any series that started in the 20th century, the year date was hubbed into the die, not punched in by hand. So none of the over dates that we know of from the 20th century are indeed actually over dates. Just to let you know. All right. So this is very possible in this roll. I mean, these are quite nice and valuable. And this is, to my knowledge and recollection, an original 1949S roll. It obviously hasn't been opened because, well, the coins are basically going everywhere. I mean, the paper is basically going everywhere. And so this has been wrapped in a coin wrapper, and then it was carefully wrapped in tissue. This is very thin tissue paper. And then it was wrapped with tape. So let me get this stuff out of the way. Get it in the garbage so I can say bye-bye. 70-year-old paper. Bye-bye 70-year-old paper. Just drag my tray back down here. Now we have a wrapper that says 50 pennies. Dennis is correct. It is design hub doubling. It's class 3 design hub doubling. And that's what all such cases are. Alright, and the coins will come out. Which one was the ender? That one was the ender. Sorry, folks, I had two of them explode out of the end of the roll at the same time. There it is. And the wrapper is empty. I'm going to assume 50 coins here. I'm going to hope 50 coins. And coin number 1 will go to Deanne. We'll see what kind of condition we have these in here. Looks pretty decent. A little bit of an extra hit or two on it. Let me brighten this up a little bit so it's easier to see. Have to readjust after that 2011 roll. There we go. Okay, a little bit of extra thickness in the mint mark, but there's nothing there to speak of. The date is normal. And we go around. There's a marker for you right there. A big die gouge next to the eye of in. And we'll watch these for that marker to see if the reverse is normal on all of those. Okay, reverse will be normal on all those. Deanne, coin number 1 turns out to be a normal coin. Here's coin number 2 now, penny hoarder. Penny hoarder comes into the crowd. And just in time to see his coin pop up if I can find it. There we are. Okay. You see how this has a flat top on the 4? That is normal for the year. We're looking for one with a flat top that is over a pointed top. That's another one from the same die again. We have that gouge marker next to the eye. Let's see what markers we have over here so we can start working on identifying them by looking at the mint mark itself. We have parallel die scratches running southeast between the 1 and the 9 of the date. Right here. Parallel die scratches between the 1 and 9 of the date. So we've already seen the reverse on another such example of this die pair, but we'll look at this one just to show that we indeed see no doubling. And this one's for Penny Hoarder. Hello, Kelly Michaud. Guess what I found when I was cleaning up the office yesterday? I had placed your package in a spot that I shouldn't have placed it in, and it got buried in a pile. Well, I found it in that pile. So I have your package. I've still not opened it. I was going to open it during the first show that I saw you, and guess what? That's now. Well, here is a split lower serif. This one's for Ant2242. Split lower serif. There's Mr. French. This one's going to have a bunch of die scratches going north from in and around the area of the 1 of the date, so that we can be sure that we know this die when we see it again. Oh, plus it's also got this hideous amount of die damage on the N of in. That's a huge die gouge, as it appears. It's an interesting kind of damage there too, but it's a huge die gouge that basically just dug the lower relief of the coin, higher relief of the die, just dug it completely out from under the N. All right, let's take a look at the reverse and see if we have a doubled die reverse, and we do not. No double die here. Oh, no. It's going to be open slightly off camera. We're not going to get involved in that. It's going to be a slightly off camera opening. As I do everything, slightly off camera. All right, so that's our first RPM. Also has that damage on the N. And here is one for Eric. Eric up next. Let's take a look at the mint mark area. We have another RPM. This is a different RPM here, I do believe. Yeah, definitely a different RPM. It has a nicely split lower serif. It has a little bit of doubling right inside here. And it has this nicely split lower serif. It's also got a split upper serif, slightly split upper serif, but it's got a lot of north and south die scratches running out of the date. So we have a good marker there, and we probably do not have the same doubling or same damage on the N, and we do not. So now we've got two very distinctively different RPMs to watch for. And on the reverse side, we have no doubling. A little bit of a spot there, but no doubling. Okay, that one for Eric. Now coin number 5, on to Ant. And Ant will get, what do we have here? Well, it's another RPM. And this one looks like yet another different die, I think. Yeah, this one is a third different die. This one's got a heavy die scratch from just west of the 1 up to the point of the chin. And it's got other die scratches on top of the chin. That's a nice split lower serif. Part of the 4 is filled in too, if you can see that. Part of the 4 has a die chip in it. So we'll take a look at the reverse on this one. And see if we happen to run into a double die reverse by chance. Double die reverses are not necessarily a thing for 1949 cents. That one's for Ant. Let's move on to the next coin, Mr. Worley. And Mr. Worley will get... This one's a normal coin. Normal coin for Mr. Worley. Normal meaning normal mint mark. There is a die gouge through the OD of God. So this makes it yet a different die. We're going to check the reverse on this one real quick. We only go through the reverses of the first 10 coins unless we find something. If we find something, we'll continue. But if we don't find anything on the reverse of the first 10 coins, we'll just stop doing reverses during the show. We'll look at them after we get finished with the show. Price for a 49S reveal coin. Don't get me lying. I think it was $8. If I'm correct, I think it was $8. Here's one for Paul Hampton. And this one, it's an interesting little die scratch inside the 4. Kind of looks a tiny bit like doubling, but it isn't. And we have nothing real here. And we've got a little die scratch above the D and God. There we go. Nice little die gouges on the L of Liberty. $7. Okay. So we'll take a look at the reverse on this one because we haven't seen the reverse of this particular outburst die yet. And we shall see that it is normal. And number 8. This one's for Brendan. Newcomer to the channel. He's going to get himself an RPM. There's a little RPM there. Lower split serif, upper split serif. And does this belong to one of the dies that we have been seeing or one that we have not? Well, it appears that it could be something different from what we've seen so far. So I'll pull it off and add it to the pile. Let's take a look at the reverse real quick to be sure that we don't have like a monster double die on the reverse that we're skipping over because of a minor repunch mint mark. And we don't. Okay. So we have another different RPM for Brendan. Now we've got 4 different RPMs, one example of each. We should start running into some duplicates here pretty soon. Taco John. Now, Taco John. What's Taco John get? Well, this one is not an RPM. It has very heavy die scratches through the 1 and 9. And that's about it. So let's take a look at the other side. And nothing there. Here goes number 10 for Yo Man. And coin number 10 shows us it's not an RPM. It doesn't appear to be a double die. There's that gouge between the O and D. So we've seen this die before. And just as I was planning on stopping looking at the reverses, we're not going to look at the reverse on this one because we have seen this obverse die before. And we looked at its reverse and found nothing. Here's one for Stanley. Stanley? What do we see for Stanley? I think it's an RPM. And it is an RPM, and this has got that die scratch next to the one that goes up to the point of the chin. So that's going to be our second different die that we found an RPM on. So that's going to go coin number 11 with coin number 4. Now coin number 12. Taco John. And this one is not an RPM. Not an RPM, not a double die lid. We've got a bunch of really strong die scratches, though. Die crack running across the head. This one's different from the others that we've seen. So we'll pop it over on the reverse real quick and take a look at it. We got nothing, man. We do coin number 13 now for Dennis. Nice RPM. Really nice one. Very heavily split lower serif. Very nicely split upper serif. We've not seen this die yet in this little venture. Not a double die obverse. Let's check the reverse real quick. Okay, not a double die reverse either, but a nice RPM. That's 6 different RPMs so far. Now number 14, Penny Hoarder. Penny Hoarder, let's see what we get for Penny Hoarder. Got a roll full of RPMs here. We've got another one with the strong north and south die scratches in the date. This is going to be our 3rd different die. Our 3rd different die repeats itself for us. And there we go. Oh, Mr. Ant. Now number 15, Crispy. Crispy. Another RPM. This is the one that's got the filling in the 4. Little die scratch to the west of the 1, hitting the tip of the chin. Other die scratches on top of the chin. This is our 2nd different die for the roll. Nice, nice. Now number 16. Let's go to Carl. See what we can do for Carl. And Carl gets, well, it's an RPM too. That's an RPM. Nice split lower and upper. And this is, well, it appears as though this is a duplicate of another die that we have, but I cannot find a marker on there that I was using for it. I'll have to put it in an unknown pile. Let this one be sorted later. Kelly, yes, they're actually double dies, but there is no such thing as an overdate on any U.S. coin minted in the 20th century. No such thing as an overdate on any United States coin minted in the 20th century. You've got your 1918 nickel, your 1921 dimes, or your 1941 dimes. There we go. There's another RPM for you. This is the one with the die scratch again, going from the 1 to the chin. This is our 2nd die again. The Standing Liberty Quarters. Basically, any series that started after the year 1900 cannot have over dates because the date digits were not punched into the dies. Hello, Matthew. Everything is going great, sir. He's Matthew Valley. He is one of the modern Lincoln Cent gurus out there with a nice group on Facebook. Matthew, if you want to post a link to your Facebook group in there, to the Shield Sense, that would be perfectly fine with me. Okay, another one of our RPMs. Boys and girls, I am going to have to stop trying to separate all these different RPMs. They're too many to remember. There's one for Paul Hampton. Another RPM. Another RPM. Very nice split lower serif. There's the Facebook group. And that is the one for Shield Sense, right, Matthew? Because I know that you have some leadership role over a number of different groups. I didn't want to make a mistake in thinking that was one when it was a different. But that is the Shield Sense group, correct? We just went through a 2011 roll. Found nothing. And this 1949S, virtually every coin is turning out to be a Diveretti. We've got RPMs galore in this roll. Lots of them. This is the one with the damaged N. That would be, I believe, the first RPM of the roll. Here's number 21. This one for Stanley. And Stanley, well, this one looks like a normal coin. Normal 1949S. This one's probably got the die gouges. Nope, it doesn't. It doesn't have die gouges in the L. Well, let's flip it over real quick and see what the reverse says it is. Probably normal, but okay, once in a while we have to give him a shot just to see. Yep, Shield Sense. A group where everyone can post. So feel free to go in there, especially if you happen to go through a Shield Sense roll and you have questions. Matthew's pretty good at his double dies on Shield Sense, of course. And Shield Sense double dies can be kind of a headache sometimes. Especially some of the more minor ones. This one is another normal coin. This has got the gouges in the L. Normal coin with the gouges in the L. Well, I like the Diverettis on the shields. Just the problem is with the shields, it's kind of difficult sometimes to pick out markers on them. Okay, this one is not an RPM. That line in the upper part of the S is part of the base of the punch itself. You'll notice that a whole bunch of times on normally punched S mint marks in the 40s, you'll see a curve on the inside of the mint mark that makes it look like it's a widely offset doubling. It's not. 'Tis nothing, boys and girls. 'Tis nothing. Pretty nice looking coin there for Mr. Worley. Let's go to the next one here. The next one, crispy. Coin number 26. Coin 26 for crispy looks like an RPM. Nice split lower serif. You see that line right there with that little notch right there in the lower serif of the mint mark. That's what we're looking at. And that right there tells you it's an RPM. This is, I think it's going to be the one. Okay, this one is a little bit different. This is one of the ones that kind of confused me a little bit. I'm not really sure exactly how many of these we found so far. But it is one, that's for sure. I'll stick that in the pile with Mr. 19 over here. Here's Steven. It's coin number 25 now. This will mark us halfway through the roll. It is an RPM. It has the damage on the inside of the 4 of the date. Crispy doesn't do Facebook. Yeah, I know a lot of people who don't do Facebook anymore. It's gotten a little bit wild on itself, but you know, if you control how you use Facebook, then it comes back in spades for you. It's actually a really good website to use for doing business transactions with others and talking to them about your interest base. There are a bunch of trolls. There are a bunch of idiots. But if you work to get around the trolls and around the idiots, it's actually a pretty good resource. I mean, I wouldn't use it as my exclusive study resource for coins or anything, because, well, there's just so much out there that's misinformation. You'd end up leading yourself into blind corners if you're listening to everybody there without knowing who is who. There's another RPM. That one's a smaller one. It's got a little bit of doubling on the lower base of the S, the lower serif. It's that extra little bit of S sticking out of the bottom there. You don't like the programmers. Taco John. Well, I don't care who makes a site. If I can use it for something, I will. Right, and for Taco John, we'll pick up a normal coin, but it is a very nice one. Very nice condition. Some of these coins are solid 65 to 66 grade. Some of them are. This is one of them. Dennis up next. What do we have here? I don't believe this. Dennis is the only one who has had this RPM in this roll, and here he picks up a second one. So I've only got, it would be coin number 8. No, not 8. Which one was that? Now I don't remember, but Dennis picked one up early. Here it is, number 13. He picked up one early in the roll, and here we are on coin number 29, and we pick up a second one for him. Same RPM. And it's right, 2 for 2, and 2 of the same die. Now coin number 30, Malcolm. Malcolm picks up an RPM. Another RPM, this one for Malcolm. Seen this die before. I know that because of the north-south scratch next to the 9 of the date. That little scratch between the 9 and 4 that's almost touching the 9. Seen it before. I have seen this one before. This is not the scratch you're looking for. $31. Carl? What does Carl get? Well, there is an RPM for Carl. Nice little RPM for Carl. This is the messed up N. Now, number 32, Rockzilla. Guys, pay attention to what Matthew is saying in here. I am not ignoring him. I'm just going through the coins. Doing my job. He's doing his. He's a good resource for Shield Sense. Got nothing on this one. Nothing on this one for Rockzilla. And here's number 33. Matthew, could you send that that sheet to my PM on Facebook so that I can take a look at it because when I end this broadcast, I'm not going to be able to come back and get that for a while because it'll take a while for this to process. and then I'll be able to go back, and then I have to hunt through the chat to find it. Just makes it easier if you could just send that link directly to me on Facebook. All right, now number 34. Number 34, Mr. Worley. And this one is not an RPM. Not an RPM. Another one of our normal coins. Well, if by any chance you can't figure out how to get the link to me, we can just message about it because I'm pretty good with Google Sheets. Okay, this one is not an RPM. I know it's a little flat and it looks kind of like it could be an RPM, but it isn't. That's just a little bit of damage, a little residual damage left on the mint mark from bagging the coin. Now number 36. Carl? That one is an RPM. You can see that extra little serif sticking out of the bottom of the mint mark. It's going to be here. Let's zoom in. Let's take a good look at this one because it is pretty minor, but it is one nonetheless, and I want you guys to be familiar with what you're looking at no matter what. Now you can see it much more clearly. There is another serif right here on the bottom of the S. And if you have really good eyesight, you can see that there are two serif lines here. There's one there and one here. So there is a doubled upper serif and a doubled lower serif. That's what I wanted you to see. So we have another RPM here. Thank you, Carl. Here's number 37. This one for Deanne. Another one of the same, looks like the same die. Let me check. No, it's not the same die. This is a different die. Same type of mint mark doubling. You can see an extra serif right on the bottom. Right there on the very bottom of the S. Another little serif. Now number 38 for Yo Man. Yo Man. Another doubled lower serif. Another RPM. There's a lot of them in this roll. There's a lot of them. Y'all are happy with me right now. Got a nice 1949 S roll popping out here. We had a record-breaking 1940 or 1960 D roll the other day. There is another RPM there. Another one with the extra little serif on the bottom. Well, I appreciate that, Mr. French. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. That is precisely what I'm trying to do. Make a little bit of money, have some fun, and educate the masses. I could be doing this all by myself, sitting here with the news on in the background or a little music or whatever. And I don't know that I would ever have as much fun as I do when I'm actually broadcasting this and kind of sharing the information that I'm getting from the coins with people who like to see the information. It just makes the whole thing more fun when we can share it. RPM 4, that sounds probably right, Dennis. I'm not sure, but it sounds like it could probably be right. It looks like one of the early listings. Okay, this one is not an RPM. This one is an unfortunate damaged mint mark. And that's the gouges through the L, which is a normal die. That one's for Eric. Now number 42. Number 42 for Stanley. Let's see what 42 looks like. Okay, this is one of our little extra serifs on the bottom. RPM. This one's got the long gouge to the GO. Yeah, that's that. So this is another one of our RPMs. It looks like we may have between 6 and 9 different dies. 6 and 9 different RPM dies. There's another one. This has got that gouge or that little die scratch right next to the 9. So I know we've seen this die plenty of times. There's also a die gouge right at the rim below the last 9 of the date. This right down here, that's a die gouge at the rim. Seen that plenty of times in this roll, so this is just another one of many. This one goes to DN. I am not even trying to keep all these dice separate now. Penny Hoarder. That would be a feat of superhuman strength if I could do that. Okay, Penny Hoarder picks up a normal 1949S. Normal 1949S. Number 45. Angie, I appreciate it. Stop back next time. Always enjoy your company. Let's see, what do we have here? It is not an RPM. Not an RPM. Little hit right on the eyebrow. Number 46, got 5 coins left in the roll. This is the first of those 5 coins. This is for Carl. And Carl gets an RPM. This one has an extra little serif on the bottom of the mint mark. Got the long die gouge through the GO of God. Number 47 for Crispy. This is 4. And this one is also an RPM. This is the one that's got the die scratch between just west of the 1 up to the chin, then other die scratches on top of the chin. That would be a die 1 for the roll. Number 48 now, Malcolm. Malcolm picks up. And it looks like it could be. Let's see, let me turn it this way. No, not an RPM. This has probably got the gouges of the L. No, not that one. It is a normal die, though. There's too many of them here. Just can't remember them all. There's too many of them. I mean, I know when I've seen them. I just can't remember which ones are which. Now, Dennis. Third coin for Dennis. Does he pick up another one of those major RPM? He does. Holy moly. That's 3 for 3. Dennis, I want to rub your head for luck. That's 3 for 3 for Dennis, and I think he's the only person who's pulled this RPM out of the roll, and he's got 3 of them. That's That's a very, very tall odds right there. Very tall odds on that one. I don't think I would have put a box around that horse. Very nice. Now coin number 50. Last coin in the roll goes to Eric. And, well, because this was protected inside of a wrapper, inside of paper that was taped, it did not get tarnished, or what we would call toned. So let's see what it is. Huh? I believe that's Dennis's die, is it not? I think that's Dennis's die again. So I don't think Dennis is the only one that picks up that die out of this roll. I think this is the same die as Dennis. So there were 4 of them in the roll. He got 3 of them. And I believe this is the 4th one. You can tell right there a little bit of the wrapper toning from this being at the end of the roll. But that's what we've got, boys and girls. That is the end of this roll. Had a very nice roll there. Very nice, actually. I am going to just gather these up. We can split them by die later. But right now, I'm just going to gather them up and count them as we go through them. I want someone else to count for me because I'm going to be calling numbers and I can't call numbers and count them at the same time. So somebody else count these for me as I go through them. Here is 46, 43, 42, 39, 38, 37, 36, 30, 29, 27, 25, 24, 19, 18, 16, 13, 8, 50, 49, 14, 5, 31, 17, 15, 11, 4, 47, 20, and number 3. Those are all of our RPMs for this roll. I'm going to tell me how many there were. I'm going to guess 2/3 of the roll. It's over 25. Malcolm says 30. That's almost 2/3 of the roll. There's that. Well, I can tell you with a count of the normal coins. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 21 normal coins. So there were 29 die varieties in the roll. That was much higher than the normal. So that's over half the roll. Well over half the roll. It makes it a really good roll. Well, folks, here we go. I'm going to show you guys what I do with these. If my camera doesn't bug out on me. I think my camera decided to bug out. Now let's see what I can do with it. Nope. Lost my camera. Well, I'm going to have to restart the computer to get that to work. I was going to show you what I do with these after, but I'll go ahead and do it. And I have no camera to show you, so it doesn't make any difference. I wrap these up in plastic and get them ready to mail, and they're already all wrapped up within a very short period of time after they are gone through. And now I'm going to see if I can switch over to my dyno. There's my dyno right there. Let's bring you over into the field. And we're going to open Kelly's package. I don't believe this. I had it out yesterday ready to open it. And now it's gone. There it is. So easily. Okay, here we go. This is the wrapping. Came in cardboard, taped up real nice, so I'm going to have to open up the tape. I have not opened this yet, so I do not really know what's inside. I mean, I've got an idea. I know what's supposed to be inside. So I have to hope it's family friendly. Oh, will you look at that. How awesome. Let's take a look at these. Try to. There we go. 1961D, RPM number 1. Beautiful RPM right there. And this one is a very nice example because, wait a minute, let me get my little hood on here. Okay, now, yeah, it's a very nice example because it's earlier die state. Very nice. There's 4 of those in here. Very nice. And then this one may not show very well, but it's a very nice toner. It's 1954S. Beautiful 54S toner. Love that coin, man. That is really nice. Yeah, look at all that color down there. That is sweet. What does this one say? Oh, this is also a really nice toner. What does it say it is? 1960 Philadelphia. Asking if it's a double die obverse. And let's see here. Oh, look at all that color. I'm not seeing a double die obverse here. But I am seeing a lot of different colors. No, sir, not a double die. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, this one's going to play difficult. Because these are taped in to this holder, I can't get the coin, the right part of the coin, under the optics to look at it. So let's see. See if I can get some of this tape off of here carefully as I do it. And because it's masking tape, it's coming off pretty well. And okay, now I can get this coin out of here rather cleanly. There it is. Now I got it out so that we can do this. That is a double die. Look at the top of the L. Look at that. Look at the top of the L right there. That is a double die. Let me go check and see if it continues on to the word in at all. No, it doesn't continue. But it's on the top of the L in Liberty. I hope that's what you were talking about, Kelly. Because if it wasn't, then yeah, you've got a double die, but you didn't know it. I don't know. Here, let me get it. Here it is, right there on the top of the L. If you look at the bottom of the picture, top of the L, It does. It looks like 68S number 1, except it doesn't have it on the top of the eye. Well, I will definitely be listing this because that is definitely a double die. And then, last but not least, we have one here marked as a 1946S, and it says it's a green stripe toned coin. So, I'm going to pull this. Oh, is it listed as number 3? Let's see if the colors come out on this at all. Well, the problem is the lighting on the scope itself. It has nothing to do with the coin. But there's supposed to be green stripes on this. I'm not, of course I can't see green anyway, but I'm not seeing stripes on this one now, probably because of the plastic of the holder. Let's check the mint mark and check for doubling real quick though. See if we can see anything going on. Okay, no doubling, and the mint mark is a large S, the large or quote-unquote normal S, and I don't see any hub doubling on the obverse. Let's take a look at the reverse real quick. Might as well, right? We got it here. Slightly weakly struck, as we could expect out of 46S. But yeah, not a double die reverse either. So this one's in here for the toning. And I cannot see the toning under the scope right now. As you turn it, the plastic reflects in different ways that makes it shine like a rainbow. And it kind of messes up any toning that you're trying to look at, because that's the plastic. The 4 looks squashed. The 4 is squashed on these. It's squashed on a lot of them. A 60D DDO. No. Oh. Well, that was a different package though, right? 60D DDO3. Yes, but that was in a different package, I think. I have those around here. Finding them right now is going to be a chore. Yeah, I don't think right now I'm going to be able to locate them. You know, I did see them just a day or two ago, but I can't find them now. Hard pressed to find something, stick a gun to my head and I'd never find it. Get me to where I'm about to put my jammies on and go to bed and I'll see it. Story of my life. Well, I really appreciate this. This is very nice. Yeah, these are going to go far for helping out on the website. If Art Ring happens to be watching, I got your package too, sir. Yeah, I'll find those others. I know I saw them. I had seen them. That was the correct way to say that. And I know where I put them, but finding them right now is going to be a chore. But I really appreciate that. Folks, this is going to end the evening for me. And I appreciate everyone dropping by. And I will be back tomorrow with it's going to be a relatively short auction. It's not going to be a whole lot, but we've also got a 1944D roll and a 1944S roll to make it through tomorrow for reveals. And so we will do that too. And so everything starts at 7 p.m. Starting up at 7 p.m., the auction will probably run until 8. And then roughly 8 o'clock, we will start the reveals. 1944D roll and then a 1944S roll. We'll get on to them then. And for now, I'll be signing off and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a great night. See you then.